All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, a.k.a. the 110 Soldier. What is up? All right, plenty of things to talk about today. Olympics, obviously. I have a brilliant idea for a new Unrivaled league with Angel Caitlin. I'll get to that here just a little bit later. I got to talk about some more ladies, including Coco. I have been trying to sit on that topic, but you know what? It keeps coming up, and I'm going to talk about it again. If you don't like it, well, I don't really care. But there's a lot of things to talk about, so let's just not hesitate and go any longer. The NFL is officially back this Thursday. Watch out for copyright there. But yes, NFL is back, and it is going to be the Hall of Fame game, which all the bench players play. No one really gives a shit. But it is going to be the first official preseason game, which means NFL is finally here. All the withdrawal symptoms are over. It's actually been documented. There's a thing called football withdrawal symptom where, you know, from February to now, those 6 months, a lot of people get sad, depressed. I mean, a lot of dudes live their life through the NFL and football. So it is back officially, so that's a lot of fun. There's some interesting stories. I mean, dude, it's early, you know, but there's like the quarterback battles, you know, in Pittsburgh. We got Fields and going against Wilson. That's a fun one there. Denver, the new kid Knicks, Zach Wilson. Watch out for your moms or his mom, or I forget what the story was there. Minnesota, you got Darnold and McCarthy, the other rookie. Joe Burrow's coming back this year. He went full Slim Shady with his haircut. I don't really know how much I like that. And actually could be a psychological thing. Go back and Google, you know, when women a lot of times major changes or they want to restart their life, they'll do a big haircut. I kind of put it in that situation, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Aaron Rodgers continues to be a diva and have fits in the New York Jets, and that's a whole nother thing there too. But football is back. A lot of people are excited, but the big thing we can talk about now, since it's officially going to be August 1st, is that we are in fantasy football season. Here we go, nerds. Here we go, nerds. People love their fantasy football. It is back. Usually your draft is anywhere from the middle of this month now, going towards the end of August. Of course, started like 50 damn years ago. George Blanda made the first pick. Now it's up to like 60 to 75 million, I hear, play every single year. Fantasy football. Corey, you do have that picture up for me, I hope. I forgot to ask you to do that. My man Corey's taking care of me. At least $4 billion spent on it a year. Countless hours of work. Bosses constantly complain during fantasy football that a lot of their employees are caught farting off all the time playing fantasy football. You now have the daily fantasy, which has become a gambling thing. Shout out to DraftKings and all them. That's been a whole nother fun, addictive thing to do. It is so important to so many football fans, even maybe more important than the actual season itself. They did a poll. They said 39% of men polled that play fantasy football. 39% would give up beer, 19% would give up their phone, and 16% would give up sex. I mean, that's the level of addiction of like,
it's mine. Give me that, it's mine.
I got to put in my flex. I got to put in my wide receiver. You know what I mean? It's an addiction with the fantasy football thing. It's been actually great for NFL viewership. I mean, I love the NFL Red Zone. That's not the only way for me to watch the NFL, and I did it because I was playing fantasy football. I don't want to keep up on like 6 scores at once. NFL Red Zone, no commercials, beautiful. Shout out to NFL Network. And I mean, now, you know, you look at last year, the NFL's average viewership was 17.9 million. That is the best in like the last 30 years. I think the second best since 1995. So viewership's up, everything's doing good. NFL is kicking ass and taking names, and it's all a lot because of fantasy football. I know a lot of y'all are excited to play fantasy football. But the first thing we got to do first is with any new team, got to get your new name. Every fantasy football team, you know, you got to start off with a good name. You got to announce your presence with authority.
Announce my presence with authority. Announce your what? Announce my presence with authority.
Announce your presence with authority with a good fantasy football name. If you're anything like me, you kind of like to toe the line a little bit. So I came up with this little segment here for you, and we're going to get to the video here. Corey, get it ready for me in just 1 second. So you got to have a good team name. I'm going to go with some of the ones. I made a compilation here of some of the craziest ones. Every single year, the internet mixed with football fans come up with some of the most savage names you could possibly think of. And so I'm going to give you some ideas here. It's always fun. I mean, you know, a lot of times you don't even know who you're playing. You only see their team name. So, again, you want to announce your presence.
Announce my presence with authority. Announce your what? Announce my presence with authority.
So without further ado, let's get into it. We are going to start off. These are, again, the best now for this year, for 2024, the best not safe for work fantasy football names. Corey, if you can go ahead and play for me here. And I'm giving you a warning. Again, these are not safe for work. Play for me. Thank you very much. Again, this is going to be my top 5 included with honorable mentions, but I'm giving you a trigger warning. We're going to start slow, and then we're going to get progressively worse, and I'm taking liberty with a lot of people's innocent, and tragedies and stuff like that. But let's get into the first one. At 5th place, Tua Girls, 1 cup. Shout out to Tua Tagliavoe and his 4-year, $212 million extension. As you see him there eating a big plate of chocolate ice cream. Stewie seemed bothered by that. Not too bad honorable mentions included Najee Germany, touchdown syndrome, I put it in her Bert, nuts all over your face, and Adrian Peterson daycare. Someone watch the switch out there with Adrian Peterson daycare. Again, fantasy football names will get progressively worse as it goes on. In 4th place for me, we have Step Burrow, I'm stuck. Shout out to Joe Burrow and his new Slim Shady haircut. And step sisters and moms just keep getting stuck in beds and washing machines. Good thing he's got a lot of time behind center. These are getting a little worse. Honorable mentions. We got Coop Cup's Clan. Nigba Please. Got to make sure I say that right. 1A Kareem Pie. DeMartiac Arrest. Don't touch down there, and Rodgers Vax Dodgers. DeMartiac Arrest is brutal because of the whole DeMar Hamlin and the heart attack. But so, like I said, we're starting to creep into it a little bit. Number 3, Watson's Towel. You could also do What's Under My Towel. I think this is at least kind of towing the line because technically on all those 22 allegations, he did not get actually charged with any of them criminally, although you get accused of something 22 times. You probably did that shit. Now we're getting bad. These are the tough ones here. Ruggs Riders. Jesus Christ. Sandy Hook and Ladder. She was Haskins for it. Google why that's an interesting one. And then another Haskins, Dwayne's Trains and Automobiles, based, of course, off Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and Dwayne was hit by it. All right, anyway, so at number 2 in worst fantasy football names you can come up with, I have Hanging with Hernandez. Now, I thought this was actually kind of fun. I thought this actually kind of sounds like a 90s sitcom. And again, he was given life without parole for murder, so I don't feel that bad for it. So that is probably the second to worst one I heard you can come up with is Hanging with Hernandez. But the top one, and it's based on a brand new one because it's off a brand new player, only his 2nd year. The worst or not safe for work fantasy football name you can have this year on your team is Who Killed Charbonnet Ramsey, named, of course, after Zach Charbonnet. And actually, he's a fantasy sleeper himself, so keep an eye on Charbonnet. But yes, Who Killed Charbonnet Ramsey? Absolutely savage. Jesus Christ. The internet is just never missed since Al Gore invented it in 1983. But there you go. Top fantasy football names you can come up with. You're welcome. Who killed Charbonnet Ramsey? That's just, a lot of you kids in TikTok need to Google why that's just like, ouch. Good Lord, the internet does not miss. Moving on. We will get back into the Olympics now. That's actually going on and is going to be continuing for a little bit longer, and there's a lot of cool things, and there's a lot of bad things, so let's just get right into it. They're still having all their sex, so shout out to everyone out there in the village. 300,000 condoms, passing them around. But last I checked, USA right now is number 1 in the medal count. So congratulations, USA. We have 28 at the last checking before this podcast. France is in 2nd with 22. In the gold medals, though, however, USA, we're down to number 7. We're leading in medals. We're only 7th in gold medals as China is actually ahead of us with 4. So hopefully we'll be able to correct that before the Olympic Games are over. But the big one, and I think the biggest story so far, one that I was keeping an eye on, Simone Biles got her gold medal.
I love gold.
Shout out Simone Biles, who's now officially the GOAT. There's really no debating it anymore when you've gotten your 8th gold medal, which is the most in gymnastics history, and you continue to have now 6 signature moves. She has 6 moves that only she can do and she alone. She just did some double flip thing that apparently was the first time a woman's ever done it. I mean, the girl continues to make history, kick ass, 8 gold medals, and she now joins along with Lee, Childs, and Carey on their redemption tour. They're able to get things done. But shout out to Simone. She's officially the GOAT. No questions asked. They dominated, by the way, the team did. They beat Italy and Brazil by 5.820 points, which apparently is an ass-kicking in gymnastics. And so they were able to do their thing. They asked Simone about it later. I think she said they nicknamed the team the F Around and Find Out team. I mean, this was a big deal. This was them coming back from, a redemption tour because, again, Simone in Tokyo, a lot of people, even including my mom, was like, and she likes gymnastics, forgot she had the twisties, and she went through like this mental health issue, and suddenly she couldn't perform, so she had to sit down. We ended up getting silver. It was kind of embarrassing for her and us, and this year came back, kicked ass, took names, like I said, and ended up getting their gold medal. So once again, congratulations to the ladies and your newest gold.
I love gold.
Take that, Italy and Brazil and everybody else trying to mess with us. And I thought this was cute, or at least interesting. So this is my favorite thing when I think about the American gymnastics team, because I'm a fan of stand-up comedy. Daniel Tosh probably had no idea that this was going to be brought up into a sports podcast, but I always thought he made a good point here. Because we get a little back and forth about, is this, country, this, that, anthem, patriotism, all that stuff. The Olympics seems to be the one time that I really enjoy seeing everyone kind of forget about that shit. Like, it's the one time, and I've seen even TikToks and posts and people being like, every other, 50 weeks of the year, I'm like, this country, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as I see somebody win a gold medal like Simone, it's like, USA, USA. It's our best time to be proud to be Americans, and I think the gymnastics team is really a epitome of kind of what makes this country, at least on paper and the goal, what we are striving to be. If you could hit this for me, Daniel Tosh, this is from a stand-up he did a long time ago. But, I mean, it's very true. He said this was in 2016 on a special called People Pleaser, but he said, I do love this country. We're the only place with any diversity. The entire planet's segregated. You realize that when you watch international sports. Look at our U.S. gymnastics squads. We have an Asian girl, a white girl, a black girl. Look at the Chinese squad. Any guesses? Did you guess exclusively Chinese chicks? Yeah, well, that's all been on that team. That's all they'll ever be on that team. Then they wonder why they're not getting golds anymore. You better get a Harlem in China. Now, of course, Daniel's being funny, but he makes a solid point. I mean, it really is. You look it up. A lot of people will try to say we're not the most diverse, and they'll do it based on like kind of these weird nitpicks, like Africa. They'll say they have more languages in their countries, or Australia, there's more overseas born. No. Canada has more immigration. I mean, you just have to look as simply as what goes on in the Olympics, and look at our gymnastics team, and look at everybody else. Look this year. Look at America again. Like you said, I mean, that said that 6 years ago. It happens all the time. We are always multiracial. A lot of diversity on our teams, and you look at everybody else, and they all look the same. We always have a Chinese girl, white girl, black girl. We have a mix of everybody, and we all work together to do something special. And not that the other girls don't, but you look at their teams, like you said, all Chinese girls. This year, you look at the Italy squad or the Brazilian squad. Very, it's indicative of at least what I think we're trying to be in this country. I'm not going to get on a rant and join one side or the other and say that we're there or not. I just think this is the one time we can all kind of get together and be on a good, positive note. You know what I mean? Like America, why not? We're all together in this. We don't always get along, but sometimes we try our best. So I always thought, and every time I see now the gymnastics teams, that's actually the first thing that pops in my head. So I thought I'd share that with y'all. Shout out to Daniel Tosh. Moving on to another, though, unfortunate, and this is going to be divisive, but I sat on it before when it happened a few weeks ago. I kind of brought it up because of the Simone thing last week. But then it happened again. If you can hit this picture for me, I'm going to call this here Coco Huffs. It's officially become a problem with Coco Gauff. I don't know what to tell you. This girl huffs and puffs and winds her way out of continually, games that she's supposed to win and matches she's supposed to win. She did it again. Coco did it again. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, this time is even more embarrassing in the Olympics when you consider she was our flag bearer along with LeBron James. And, she was the favorite again, just like she was a few weeks ago in Wimbledon, to win the entire thing. She's supposed to be our 20-year-old new Serena Williams. She's the French Open champion. She's won 7 titles. She's this wonderful, great girl and a great thing for the sport and a great thing for our country. Let's make her the flag bearer. Let's put her out front because she's going to go out and at least get, one of her 3 gold medals. Not only did she not do that, she is now, as again, the number 2 in the world. She's the number 1 in doubles. She is coming off of that shocking loss in Wimbledon where she got lost lost again in the 4th round to some girl named Emma Navarro, who she had no business losing to. But just today, I saw this before I even got started, and I was going to talk about it yesterday. She now lost in the doubles round with some girl Pegula, and they were the number 1 seed to Czechoslovakia's Mukova and Nuskova, who are like 34th and 26th in the world in the just damn 2nd round. Again, now has been upset in the doubles round. Not to mention yesterday when she lost in the 3rd round in straight sets to Dana Vekic, who the highest I've ever seen her from Croatia has been ranked 21. And it's a meltdown again that got her in that round. And so this is all in a month. So in a month, she was upset in the 4th round by Emma Navarro in straight sets at Wimbledon, and she had a conniption fit there. She got into a big fight with her coach. Then in the last 2 days, she had another conniption fit where she got into a fight with the umpire, ended up being upset by someone that I've never heard of and somebody that she was not supposed to lose to. And then just today, at the number 1 seed in the doubles, they lost again to some unranked and who knows Czechoslovakia's team there, and they lost in the doubles round. So now she's down to like the mixed doubles to get her chance for a gold medal. This is the flag bearer. And it just keeps happening. I mean, I want to root for Coco.
Glen Coco, you go, Glen Coco.
I want to root for Coco. But, I mean, it's getting to a point. It's not just that she's losing. And I think that's why I wanted to get into this whole discussion, because this all goes back to the stuff I've talked about with the mental health and mental health breaks and all that. But, I mean, it's not just that she's losing. It's one thing when you're young and you feel some pressure and get upset. It's how she's losing. She's continuing to have just breakdowns. There's no other way to put it. It is having conniption fits, and it's even worse this time. Again, as the flag bearer, it's the Olympics. This is not the time. Barkley, way back in the day, I remember shoved a guy once in 92, and people had to fit at him saying, dude, this is the Olympics. This is not the time to have, you're a representative of our country. When you're the flag bearer, you're really a representative of our country. And so, she lost, and that sucks. And, I mean, that's kind of embarrassing, but it's the way she behaved. Corey, if you can hit the video here. She got all mad about some call, and go ahead and hit it for me. This is her arguing with the umpire. It's not the first time she's argued with umpires, and I just don't. She got all upset about something being out of bounds or it was called before, but she lost in straight sets. So that's the part that needs to be addressed. You lost in straight sets. It's not like it was a close match and that was the one play that sent you over the hill and suddenly the momentum shifted the other way. At this point, she's like shrieking at the ref and she's crying. This is now the 2nd time in less than a month I've seen her cry her way to an upset where she clearly starts having a little bit of a mental breakdown and focuses on one little thing here or there. And the quotes afterwards, you guys weren't fair to me. It's not fair. This is not da-da-da. I'm constantly getting cheated and victim this and victim that. And it's just something is wrong right now with Coco. She needs to fix something in the cabeza there.
Sounds like you have mental problems, man.
But it's not to me like she's struggling. It's a maturity issue. Is what it is. So like I said, I want to get into this because it is something that has become very frustrating to me, and this idea with Coco Gauff that it's not just, it's more than just the mental health and all the things that she said, as you can pop up the picture here for me, the idea of mental health breaks, and this is, I brought this up multiple times, and again, I sat on this before. I was like, I don't want to push this. I'm not necessarily a doctor, but you know what? Now I don't care.
Don't argue with me about it. I don't care if you are a doctor.
I don't care if I'm not a doctor. I don't care if you are a doctor. This is sports. This is something I know, and this is something I've seen. This is a maturity issue with Coco Gauff. This is not a mental health issue, or at least it's not something that can't be corrected or something that can't be criticized or fixed, I guess is my point. As the touchy thing when you get into all this nonsense is that, boy, people love to hit you with a lot of exaggeration or cliche. They'll say things like, would you let an offensive lineman go out there with a broken leg and da-da-da-da. I'm not saying that mental health isn't a real issue. And when you see like Simone Biles in that one-off situation in the Olympics when she got the twisties and they were like, dude, she could really hurt herself if she tries to do something in the air and she's got these kind of mental yips, and she was able to overcome it and be able to do something and take that break for herself. I get that. I'm in support of that. And in hindsight, obviously that worked. But with Simone, I'm sorry, the coddling's not working. It's not working. The mental health breaks, the saying, oh, she's just 20 years old or she's just a kid. Da, 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 da. I've seen other 20-year-olds. That's another excuse I really want people to get rid of with this is if you're going to talk about and try to defend Coco Gauff's actions and the consistently getting upset by no-namers in the highest of situations is like, well, she's only 20 years old and you have a right to have fits all the time. I'm sorry, like 20-year-olds, do y'all want to be taken seriously or not? Because it's usually 20-year-olds and people like that will say this, like, oh, she's only 20. Give her a break. Do y'all want to be? I mean, it doesn't seem to matter when you want to bring up political issues or, you know what I mean? Also, you'll lecture me. I have 20-year-olds try to lecture me all the time, and I never get to go, oh, you're 20. You don't know any better. You don't know how to behave yet. So please miss me with that. That one really annoys me. Is anyone bringing up the age? I can bring up Kobe, Gretzky, Pele, Michael Phelps in tennis, Everett, Calipari, Serena Williams. I know plenty of people who at a very young age had success just like Coco and didn't continually seem to have meltdowns on the biggest stages. Like I said, Wimbledon is the only place. She's never even reached the final 8. This girl is a 7-title winner and a Grand Slam winner, and every time she goes to the biggest tournament in Wimbledon, she kind of has either, and then she ends up yelling at somebody or doing something else. When this last Olympics here, again, she's the flag bearer, and every time she feels a little bit of pressure, it seems to just, she has an issue being able to handle that I can't just let you hide underneath her age or hide underneath, oh, it's not fair to say anything, or that we can't, have any sort of critical comments about it. It's one thing to lose. It's the way that she's losing. And I'm going to continue to stress that. And I'm sorry, not everything under mental health is something that is involved into the category just because you say it is. I guess my point is, like, mental health is real, but not everything you say is mental health. And I get bothered by that because people love to personalize it. And I think that's another thing. There's a lot of empathy and sympathy because you're having some sort of issue, and God bless you. And I hope you get it figured out. I'm not saying there's not solutions that need to be done, but it gets so like personalized that somehow me saying, the number 2 girl in the world who continues to yell at umpires and yell at her coaches and have big upsets needs to figure out how to handle the pressure better. And I don't think it's fair for her to say it's all just a mental. You know what? Do you get my point? Like, it's a touchy subject. It's a frustrating subject, but it's happened too many times in a row now, so I'm going to talk about it. And like I said, you got the old and new, and that's another problem with this is looking at how to tackle the issue of dealing with the pressure or dealing with any sort of mental problems.
Sounds like you have mental problems, man.
Again, I'm old. I'll talk about that in a second. I get, though, what the new school is trying to say, and it's a softer approach that maybe is more necessary, but I worry sometimes can be hidden underneath, not being able to hold anybody accountable. That's kind of where I toe the line. But I mean, there's a stigma that needs to be broken. A lot of athletes, especially my age and older, will talk about they had issues with depression or anxiety or something else, and no one was able to let them talk about it. People said you were kind of a bitch if you brought it up, and so they felt this pressure to internalize it. A lot of way that guys do. There's about 35%, according to studies, of athletes that go through some version of it. There was a study in college that said 50% of all athletes in college either have overwhelming anxiety or OTS syndrome or eating disorders or PTSD of some type or sleeping disorders. So I get that there is something there that needs to be addressed, and that is not my concern or problem with what is happening. And also, like I said, Simone Biles is a perfect example of maybe that softer approach that might have been frowned upon, say like the Olympics with Carrie Strug when they had her, do the thing on one leg, although I found that heroic when she landed that vault. But when Simone was literally kind of in danger of like, dude, if I try to do a half twist midair and fall on my neck, I could really hurt myself, and I'm having a real panic and a freak out here. She kind of, to me, was able, that's a one-off, and then obviously was able to redeem herself just winning gold. So that is something, okay, that's not how I would have done it or how I was brought up or raised to think about it, but that seemed to work out for everybody involved, and everybody's doing just fine. The old way, though, is sometimes still, I'm sorry, at least been scientifically proven, and I've seen it in sports, sometimes necessary. I felt this through addiction. I had some therapists that were soft, others that are hard. You kind of need both, and I come from the old. I come from the, you can cry in the storm, you can dance in the rain. You push through adversity. It's not just necessary. It's what helps you grow. It's what helps you prepare for that the next time. If every time you go up to the tough thing and you just go, well, I'm stressed about it, I don't want to do it, you'll never get over that wall. You'll never get over that hump. And there are studies, again, that show 70% of people experience positive psychological growth when they face an adverse situation or something they think they can't overcome, and at least try their best to do it. And if they're able to do it, it's just common sense. The next time you do it, I've done it before, I can do it again. And they say some of the most ways to combat anxiety and the most powerful ways to combat anxiety actually include confronting the situation, trying to deal with the situation, not letting somebody retreat from it, and that it's the building of that resilience that helps you combat anxiety more than anything else. And again, going back to sports examples, when Kobe, his rookie year, had the 3 air balls in the playoffs, he was getting just brutally ripped. People were making fun of him. He was able to overcome that and come back and be better than he ever was. Magic Johnson back in the 80s was called Tragic Johnson. When he failed in the finals, he came back and won championships. Again, I can bring up guys like Joe Dumars, Brett Favre, and Michael Jordan, who found out about their fathers dying either before the game or the game, after. Family tragedy. So you get what I'm saying? Like, I think both are necessary, and I don't know what's exactly the right answer. Again, I'm not a doctor, and I am an idiot, and I'll grant you that, but I don't need to be a fireman to tell if a building's on fire. What's happening with Coco is it's not working. It's not working. I just don't know what to tell you. Now, someone did make a point here, and I'll at least bring this up, though, as far as like, oh, you seem to be kind of leaning towards the old way of doing things. The mentally toughest people I ever saw perform, I will show you now, are some of the saddest human beings on earth. Corey, if you can hit this for me. This is an interesting part when you bring up the old versus new mental health debate here. These are all the GOATs, and there's some sad old GOATs who all have major, major mental issues.
Sounds like you have mental problems,
I
man.
mean, MJ, I'm sorry, Jordan, the yellow eyes is a clear sign of most likely an alcoholism. He's had gambling problems. He seems to have no friends in later life and is really struggling himself. Babe Ruth famously, of course, drank and screwed and did everything else wrong in his life. Mickey Mantle, same thing. Mickey Mantle did have some previous of like his dad and grandfather both died at 40, so he thought I was going to die at 40. But he became a major alcoholic. Tom Brady, I mean, it was just brought up in the roast. He actually was willing to give up his family because he couldn't stop playing football because he was just so obsessed. He wasn't able to look at the big picture. Lost, his wife in a divorce and everything else. She's banging a jiu-jitsu instructor during that time. There was a bunch of stuff that allegedly went down. And then, of course, Tiger. What do I got to say? Hey, nobody dealt with mental health or as far as pressure. Nobody dealt with pressure better than Tiger. Tom and Jordan are up there, but man, Tiger Woods, boy, with all eyes on him and everybody just keeping, a bajillion people viewing and everybody else out there and just him by himself on a little, putting green somewhere, he was the most clutch performer I've ever seen. So if there's ever a perfect example of like, hey, maybe the always, overcome it, tough it out, and don't be a bitch routine isn't always healthy. It is interesting. You look at the GOATs, and they all have an issue. Jordan, again, alcoholism. Ruth, alcoholism. Mantle, alcoholism. Brady, ended up getting divorced. Tiger had addiction and sex addiction. I mean, that's not good. That's not good that, yes, they were able to figure out how to overcome the biggest pressure situations in sports, but in life completely crumbled.
Sounds like you have mental problems, man.
Fair argument. As far as like, I don't know. I don't know what's the right answer. What I do know is that Coco has a pattern now, and something needs to be addressed other than just coddling her and feeling sorry for her without it sounding insensitive or dismissing mental health issues or anything else. If you could run the video, I put them both together. This is in 3 weeks. This is in the last 3 weeks. The bottom right's Wimbledon, and that's the one her at the Olympics. Hit it for me. I mean, this is beyond. This is a maturity issue. This constant bitching and complaining to your coaches or your umpire and then having quotes afterwards. It's not fair. They're all out to cheat me. These are all direct quotes from her of like, the world's out to get me. And it's just not fair for me and it's this victim mentality and all this other stuff. And it's just that's not just having an issue with stress. That's her having a fit. I mean, the Olympic one, I didn't play the audio. She's like shrieking. It's not good. It's not what people are trying to put it in the category of. And I tried to let it go the first time. Then it happened again. And now they got upset again in doubles. She is having an issue with some of the pressure there. I'm rooting for Coco. You go, Coco.
Glen Coco, you go, Glen Coco.
But I'm telling you, this idea of you just, let's treat it soft and not be, let's all be afraid to say anything. It's not working. And that's becoming very apparent. And again, this was the flag bearer this time for the Olympics. That was not a good look. It's not good for her now. If you look at all the internet comments, it's consistent. Like, this girl's getting a reputation of like, God, does she ever stop, blaming or whining? And it's not good for her brand, not good for her career. And the last thing I would ask is, like, please try to not personalize this about whatever struggles you're going through. I'm not talking about your struggles. I'm not dismissing mental health. I'm just saying that was just a young girl who needs to learn how to keep her emotions in check when she gets upset. And maybe that'll be something to help her in the future, so she'll stop losing at Wimbledon when she's not supposed to, when she stops losing the Olympics when she's not supposed to, so on and so forth. I get fired up about that because I feel like people are going to come at me of like, I don't give a shit. It's not that I don't give a shit. I just know the difference between what you're trying to tell me and that. All right. I have a whole new fun thing. I want to keep it, though, in two of my favorite topics. I want to talk about Angel and Caitlyn. I came up with this idea. I'm a genius for this.
I am a genius.
Hear me out. Hit the picture here for me, Corey. We're going to start off with this as a tease. I'm going to call this Unrivaled Ratings. I'll explain that more in a little bit. We'll get back to what exactly I'm talking about there in just one second. But let me first of all say this. The Olympic 3-on-3 tournament has been going on right now. Instead of just 5-on-5, they do 3-on-3 USA, our first time in it this year. 3-on-3 is fun. I like it. I am a full fan of 3-on-3 basketball, and particularly the way the Olympics play it, because I actually took a highlight. Now, I took from last year, so hopefully they don't get too cranky with me. This was USA versus Serbia at a FIBA tournament, but you can hit this video here for me. Olympic 3-on-3, and 3-on-3, the rules they play it, is fun as shit. It's all just nonstop action. So what I didn't know is that there's no checks. Like, regular 3-on-3, you pause and check the ball. As soon as you make the shot, you get to go. See, look at that. There's no pauses. As soon as you score, you go. There's no stop. There's no nothing. It is just all the way 10 minutes, 21, ones and twos. Who can win first? And, man, dude, it is for the ADG generation that has a hard time between commercial breaks and pauses. This has none of that. So I just started watching, and I was like, this might be actually better than 5-on-5 because it's just continually, everything's just going and moving, and it's exciting. And, of course, having Jimmer Fredette out there is fun for me. But, I mean, it's just, for an ADD group that can't deal with a lot of pauses, I like it. I like 3-on-3 basketball. I like what they're doing. And so continue to check it out. We've only gotten to the first couple days in the Olympics. I think they go all the way till the middle of August. 3-on-3 basketball is a blast. I am enjoying Olympic 3-on-3. And again, specifically the rule that they have of there's no checks as soon as you make the basket, just throw it right back out. As soon as you get behind the three-point line, you can keep going. And they just da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's fun, and I am enjoying that. However, that is only, again, one part of the story. Why am I bringing up that when I talk about Angel and Caitlyn and what I said is unrivaled ratings? So, Olympic 3-on-3, I've now found out I really like 3-on-3. It's a lot of fun. We have Angel and Caitlyn not in the Olympics. And in the most beautiful thing ever, this was so damn funny, the Team USA Women's Olympic attendance. I don't feel bad at all. Again, I was one of the ones last week who said, hey, look, this is not about all women. This is about these women. And I think a lot of us are mad at y'all for not including who right now are the number one in assists and number one in rebounds, who just kicked your ass in the All-Star game. They should have been at that Olympic tournament. They needed to be at that Olympic tournament to help women's basketball and elevate it the way they've continued to elevate it for the last 2 years. You thought they weren't good enough. You thought they weren't ready yet. And the world has officially said 1 and 2. Hit this for me. I'm sorry, this is funny to me. The world said no. In the USA versus Japan game, and I thought this was absolutely hilarious. The average attendance was about 20,000. This came out yesterday. So there were 5 games included by like Spain and China had 27,000. Nigeria versus Australia had 24,000. Other ones had 20,000, 20,000, 15,000. The USA versus Japan game only had 13,040 in attendance. The world, I thought it was just America that was pissed. The world said no. The world said, hey, we're watching Angel and Caitlyn. If they're not out there, and we know y'all actually went out of your way to make sure they weren't out there, y'all have fun with that. Y'all enjoy your little basketball tournament. And it's bananas, too, because they're going to win gold. USA women are going to win the gold medal. And before you even try the other thing, too, I know some people will go like, oh, well, maybe, it's in France. Maybe it's a USA thing. Maybe people are boycotting USA with all the problems and things we have going on. Sorry, because the men's side was the number one. They were a sellout. They were the men's USA basketball team was the number one as far as attendance, was 27,328, sold out completely. So this is not a USA basketball thing. This is a them thing.
Your Honor, I object.
And why is that?
Because it's devastating to my case.
I don't know what to tell you. As much as I have been promoting and talking about women's basketball, I was on this same train of like, dude, I will watch anything before I watch them. I'll watch that 8-month pregnant lady go fence. There's other women's things I'll watch before I watch women's basketball. I'm mad at them. Those girls did not deserve to be taken off that roster or be alienated from that roster, and was even more reinforced when they beat them in the All-Star game, which was all sorts of fun. But, so I'm going to have to bring all this together. Why have I brought all this up? I'm going to stir this cauldron and tell you why. So, I like 3-on-3 basketball from the Olympics. We have now found out that in women's basketball, at the WNBA specifically, if you don't have Angel and Caitlin, you got a problem, as we just saw with the USA men's getting the full sellout attendance record and the women only getting 13,000 and 8,000 less attendance average than everybody else, including games like Nigeria and Australia. Clearly, people are a little bit upset at them. You don't have Angel and Caitlin, you don't have what you need. There is a new 3-on-3 league called Unrivaled, and this hasn't come out yet. This is coming out in January, and I'm kind of ahead of the game on this, and I've got a perfect idea. So it's starting January 25th. There's going to be 6 teams and 5 players, so 30 total players from the WNBA, and it's a smart thing. It's a way for them to have money in the offseason because, obviously going overseas, ask Brittany Griner, can be a little rough, and not just on that situation, which was its own thing. But, just the stress of having to go and play on the other side of the world every time you want to make some money, they said, hey, we'll start an own 3-on-3, and we're going to make it, with the WNBA players. And they've even really focused on, they said, going to make them a ton of money, that they're going to pay these girls in the way the WNBA doesn't, that they're all going to get like a $100,000 average salary. They have all sorts of celebrity investors involved in this, guys like Steve Nash, Carmelo Anthony, Ashton Kutcher apparently is a donor. Soccer players, Rapinoe and Alex Morgan. So there's a lot of celebs coming in, and they want to give women the platform in this new exciting style of basketball as a way to keep them here on this side of the ocean and make their money and not have to do all things they usually have to do. And it's a brilliant idea, and I'm all for it. Matter of fact, it is still, the media rights are still being worked out, so that's another thing. This is all still in the works, but half of it's been announced. And so this is nice to hear that former ESPN president John Skipper is going to be the one headlining and running and trying to be in charge of the media rights deals. So they should get a good television deal. And so put all that together, it's a good idea. I like this idea.
I like that idea, and I will support it.
Even better is that I just found out they signed Angel Reese so far. They only have on the rosters I've heard of are like Brianna Stewart, Coppert, Gray, Howard, Lloyd, Gumbawale, Plum, and Young. WNBA stars, I've seen them. I get it. But they just signed Angel Reese to a contract, and they just announced it. I believe it was the 25th that she is going to be now joining this new exciting 3-on-3 Unrivaled ring. And they have the hashtag underneath, who's next. We know who's next as far as who they need to sign. If you can hit this for me, though. The key to this, and this is what happened, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning, they got to be on the same team. That's going to be the new thing. I don't want them just to sign Angel now that they've done that and sign Caitlin. I've seen them go against each other. The world has seen them go against each other. What we're learning is that not only do we not like watching women's basketball without them, but if you put them together, it's like the Avengers or Deadpool and Wolverine assembling. Like we enjoy that better. Again, the ratings from the All-Star game, where it was the first time ever in 2 years we got to see Angel and Caitlin team up with each other, was 3.44 million viewers. That was the third highest ever in the WNBA's history. Ever. It was the last time it got touched was 1998 in their opening year, like their first couple opening games. That's the last time they've seen that many viewers. It has become abundantly clear. We've seen Angel play and Caitlin go against each other in a rivalry. On a team, that's new. That's some new fun, and that's a whole new thing we can do with. And I mean, God, Unrivaled, you're still working out your rules. I swear to Christ, if you don't, I don't know what I'm missing here. If you don't just make it happen, I mean, watch what Team USA attendance does. Watch the WNBA ratings without them. And so the idea that you haven't started your league yet and you already have one half of this puzzle already put together, that if you can get the other, I mean, dude, this is perfect. I don't know why more people aren't kind of hinting or talking about this, but clearly it's what a lot of us, including me, want to see. 3.44 million versus even when they played each other was only like 1.2, 1.3. It is so much more fun watching them now play together because for the first time, and I just saw this along with a lot of other people, I think the best part about putting them together, they actually complement each other really well. And that was something I didn't really realize until I saw them play together. I'm like, you know what? They actually both do what the other one doesn't. Like if you paired them, you'd really have something because everything that Caitlin can, struggles with as far as like, toughness and mental issues and, she can whine and bitch a little bit and she can be a little flustered and things like that. She's not a great defender. She's obviously not, that solid of a rebounder. She's a little bit undersized. Angel does not give a shit about any of that. Angel's a dog. She's mean as shit and she is not scared of anyone. Angel is already clearly not intimidated by a damn person in that entire league or anybody else outside of it. Angel has it all upstairs. She knows how to get in your head. She knows how to bother you. She knows how to rebound. She knows how to play defense. She's bigger, so you got that side working there. And then, of course, all the things that Angel's not great at, the dribbling, the three-point shooting. This is Steph and Draymond when Draymond's behaving well. This is Jordan Rodman. They both complement the other side of each other's game so well. And seeing them only get to do it for 10 minutes, now bringing it all back together going, oh, my God, we have a brand new league, 3-on-3. You got one half of them signed. All we got to do now is sign the other one, and all we got to do is make sure that they're on the same team together. And whatever third superhero you want to bring in to combine the Avengers is fine with me. You could bring in, I don't know, Brink's hurt, but I would bring in all rookies together. You could make weird storylines by putting like maybe a Diana or a Plum or something there. I would like to see them together in this brand new 3-on-3, paired up, Avengers assembling, Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America and Iron Man, whatever you want to call it. And man, if you're the league, I don't know how you're not, if you're not already planned it with all this other planning you're doing, if you're not planning this, you guys are dumber than than anything I can think of, because that is the last thing that would make, and actually for a league starting, really give you some ratings. The only thing that's really going to give you ratings, as we're seeing, WNBA without them 3-on-3 is cool. I might turn it on maybe here or there. You put them together, you got something. You got something worth watching. I hope they do it, and I'm pretty proud of myself. I don't really talk about this yet. I'm like, why are we not making sure these two are together to play against the rest of the league in a 3-on-3 tournament, the most exciting basketball I've seen recently? Make sure that happens. January 25th, I better hear some team called the Young Bucks in Unrivaled, where Angel and Caitlin are together, complementing each other, and just adding, again, evolving that story. Now that we've seen them play against each other, we got a little taste of them playing with each other. Let's see what they can do on a team together. Let's see them go against the vets. Let's see what happens when you stir all that together. That's fun. That's interesting. I will watch that. I will absolutely watch that. Whew. All right. Got some fun videos. I'm just going to finish off with these. These are just silly, fun little bonus clips here in case you guys need a laugh. This first one, I won't give you too much of a review. We just entitled it "Oh Shit," and you'll see why. A couple kids at a phone park. Hey, brother. How you doing, man? Take that.
Oh, shit.
One more time. Hey. How you doing?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
I probably get too much enjoyment out of a 4-year-old getting smashed in the face. It's foam. Kids are like, their whole body's cartilage. I'm sure he's fine. Moving on to the next one. Stay safe out there, Olympic judges. This is not the Olympics, but man, this had to, I'm sure this didn't tickle. Roll this one for me. And no! Look at that. Right in the nuts. God, that's funny because I'm watching. That is a steel iron ball hitting his little non-steel balls, and Jesus H. Christ. Last one, just for fun. This was somewhere in Miami. Be careful with road ragers. And since I was talking about superheroes, I think this was like a Thor-ish move. Look at this. And check out. Be careful with these people. He just rolls up. But look at that. Ah! I love it was like a hammer fist. She's got the video. I got you on camera. You on candy camera now. Jury's been arrested. I try my best not to yell at people, but I mean, it's rough out there sometimes. And then, yeah, I've never, though, hammer fisted a rearview mirror. That was, the vertical was impressive. I'll give him that. I got to run. Be safe. Drive safe. Go USA. And I'm out.